Hello, Dr. Wiki here. We are right on the precipice of the announcement for Gray Zone Warfare's early access release date tomorrow, Monday, April 29th. Leading up to this point, I've been doing my best to sort through the information on the Steam store pages for each edition. During the project, I've learned some beneficial and essential things along the way that I want to share with you, and I would also like to give you a visual comparison of each locker or stash size as it relates to the edition and in comparison to each other, and how you can increase that if you find that you need more. It's all here in this video, so let's dive in. Last Friday, we had the pleasure of learning a lot more about Gray Zone Warfare as it related to how the game is going to shape up over time, as well as information regarding some of the difficulties explained within the creator playtest for Gray Zone Warfare from Merrick Rabus of Madfinger Games. During the roundtable, it was revealed that early adopters of Gray Zone Warfare will have access to 4 separate editions of the game for those who wish to become early adopters. With prices ranging from $34 to $99, the graphic is clear about what players will gain from their commitment levels regarding paying for access to the game. However, there is more information here than may meet the eye initially that I have gone through the trouble of collecting for you, so you can see precisely what editions cumulatively award players at the start, what they don't, what's unique to each tier, and more importantly, how that all ties into your account within the game of Gray Zone Warfare. The best way for me to explain all this to you is to simply go through each tier as we go. You will learn everything that you need to know to make a better decision for yourself as it relates to your needs from Gray Zone Warfare. So let's start with the Standard Edition. This edition is the basis for the equipment you will receive in every other edition. Let's review that here. I touched on this in our other video where we simply go over what is on offer here. This is all helpful gear, especially when you're starting out. From a basic level, the stash size is adequate, but I'm going to say that over time you are probably going to want more. You may not need it, but I'm sure you will want more, because when you take this graphic into consideration, it's easy to see how quickly this amount of space can fill up. During my time in the game, once I was more familiar with the essentials, managing the space that I was given was easier. Knowing how much I wanted to have on hand was also something that I learned more about just going through the game itself. So I'd say from a value perspective, it's there for $34. This is enough space to hold your starting gear, as well as any other gear early on that you will begin to accumulate. Things like food, mags, weapons from enemies, ammunition, and weapon parts could fit in here nicely, but you will need to be very cognizant of keeping things tidy so that you do not create issues for yourself. Let's take a look at the Tactical Edition. This is also a good time to mention that this gear will be included with the standard equipment you get. These editions are all accumulative of the other editions. So what does that mean for you? Your stash space is going to be a bit larger, but that space is also going to be packed with more starting gear. Here are the cumulative totals up to this point and the unique items you get specifically from the Tactical Edition. In addition to all the stuff you see here, what is unique from this version that you will not get from the previous? In the Tactical Edition, you gain a couple of grenades, a couple of foregrips, and a leather wallet. I'm unsure as to what the purpose of the leather wallet is at this time. Obviously, it's something that relates to the in-game currency, but I'm not sure as to what the benefit is, but we'll find out soon. On the other hand, I could say that foregrips early on in the game will help a lot. Every component in addition to the base weapon is always a benefit for you. Foregrips do help with recoil, and after putting them on one of my rifles during the creator playtest, I could say they are a benefit for a player just starting out when it comes to giving yourself more gear to be more potent as it relates to the gunplay and ballistic systems that are currently in place in Gray Zone Warfare. In this edition, we can see the accumulated quantities up to this point. With a locker stash space of 10 by 35, you can see that getting all the gear from the Tactical Edition and all the gear from the Standard Edition, you're going to need more space to accommodate the quantities of your starting gear. Things like ARs take up 2x4 slots in the locker, so having 3 of these is going to cramp up that space pretty quickly. Not to mention all the other gear that does take up a considerable amount of space. Things like backpacks, body armor, helmets, headsets, and carriers all take up a good amount of space, so it's easy to see why as we pay more, we get more space accordingly. Let's move to the next edition, the Elite Edition, and see what we get there, as well as what unique items we receive specifically from that tier. Now in the Elite Edition, we get all the items we received from the previous 2 editions, Tactical and Standard. What's unique to this edition is the inclusion of 2 rifle scopes, 2 rifle scope mounts, 2 stimulators, and a plate carrier. Now I didn't run into stimulators during my time within the creator playtest, however, if I was to take a stab at it, I'd say that it's used to mitigate some of the status effects that come into play from being injured during combat. Plate carriers are going to be really helpful, but just remember that gear can break. I'm not certain that you can make repairs in the game or if we will be able to ever do that in the future, but I would presumably assume that we will not, simply because going through gear is just part of the process of playing Gray Zone Warfare. Now at this point you might be asking, why would I want some rifle scopes and rifle scope mounts but not a rifle? That is a good question, but I believe that is because finding those early on in the process can be simple as long as loot tables have not been drastically changed as they relate to the weapons and equipment cases you can find loot in very soon, within probably an hour of playing the game. You might also be wondering, well, what if I want to start with the Standard Edition? You have the ability to start wherever you want, and so long as the other editions are available, you can decide if you would like to purchase the upgrade from one edition to the next at any time. This is stated in the store page on Steam. However, what is a bit foggy is whether players will be able to upgrade stash size without paying more money, and I have it confirmed with Rick, the US community manager for Madfinger Studios, that you will be able to do this in one of their first patches. So wait, why would you even pay the extra money for the stash space and this gear? Here's a few potential reasons why some early adopters may want to commit to a higher edition price as opposed to others. Merrick has already stated multiple times that we will be seeing server wipes. It's part of being within early access to a game. However, what that means is that each time we see a server wipe, you will still be starting with this size of stash and this gear. Now, one question I have is, if I do not purchase the gear stash with real money and instead vouch for upgrading it through the means available to me in-game instead, when a server wipe happens, will my stash space also return to whatever size I begin with? For instance, say I go in at the elite level. My locker stash size is a 10 by 45, but through the course of the game, I upgrade my own stash within the game to say the 10 by 60 size. After a server wipe, will my stash space return to the 10 by 45 size? I don't know. I don't have an answer for this question, but my thought is that your edition will act as the foundation for each time the game begins post-server wipe. When I get more information for that, I will include it in the description or the comments below. All right, we're about to wrap up here with the final edition available to us, the Supporter Edition. But before we do, if this information and video has been helpful for you, please hit the like button and remember to hit the bell icon for more Gray Zone Warfare content, news, and discussions from me, Dr. Wiki. All right, moving on. Supporter Edition. It's a big commitment, and when you compare it with all the other editions and take in the cumulative totals of all the gear as it relates to your locker stash size, it starts to make sense why the locker stash size increases as you pay more money. Here's a visual representation of your locker size at the supporter level, and with all of this gear, I could say that it's good that we get this much space because a lot of it is going to be consumed just with your starting gear. But what is unique to the Supporter Edition of Gray Zone Warfare? In the Supporter Edition, you're going to get a starting rifle, 3 mags, which are very helpful, ammo for the rifle, which is also very helpful, 3 suppressors. I'm not sure what weapons these are for, or if they're all for one weapon type, and a key holder that I assume only takes up minimal space when you need multiple keys on you. On the surface, the key holder may sound simple, but at times having that extra 1x1 inventory space can be the difference between keeping all the stuff you need on you while bringing back a high value item for yourself. For instance, small optics, weapon parts, or additional grenades or ammunition to throw in your stash or utilize while you're out in the field. So the other items that you receive in game that are not directly tied to your equipment that you will be using in combat in Gray Zone Warfare is a Gray Zone Warfare shirt, Gray Zone Warfare gloves, a special supporter name color, and an exclusive badge. So there you have it. But before you go, here's a side-by-side comparison of all the locker sizes as they relate to each other from edition to edition. We have the big news that we have all been waiting so patiently for, dropping tomorrow, Monday, April 29th, that will let us know when exactly we will see the early access release go live for everyone. I'm so excited, and I hope to see you in Lemang. This has been Dr. Wiki. Thanks for watching, and remember to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe for more Gray Zone Warfare content, news, and discussions from me. See you soon, and take care. Adios.